leaving the scene after accident resulting in death. The defendant not guilty or guilty? So say you, Mr. Foreman. So say you all. Jurors, hearken your verdict as the court records it.
Well, this one has been months in the making. What began in a suburb of Boston nearly 4 years ago quickly captivated the country. The Karen Read trial ignited justice warriors all over the globe. And the man who drove the sleigh that set her free is here in studio. Alan Jackson today on Hot Mics with Billy Bush.
Empty your pockets, son.
Alan, how you doing, buddy?
Good. You're looking good, as usual.
We're starting a little
Southern
late.
California sun works for you.
You're just hammering phone calls in the parking lot. We're like, it's Alan. He's like, what? 2 more minutes. You've got so much going on right now.
It doesn't stop. It doesn't stop. But this is worth it.
You know what always strikes me is just the love that this team, you guys came together like a real family right there. I mean, everybody's got the same hand signals.
We are a family. Still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yannetti, Dave Yannetti, who,
Dave, Bob, Karen, me,
he's
Liza.
in tears crying over this thing. I mean, have you ever shed tears for any other client or any other acquittal?
I have felt emotion in just about every case that I've ever tried, from the prosecution side to the defense side. But I don't know that I've ever felt, I do know that I've never felt the level of emotion that I felt that day when I heard those words from juror number 1 saying not guilty. It was such I don't even know how to describe it. It's not like out of a movie or a book. Like you just say, oh, okay, well that's done. Next.
Yeah.
You don't get to flip that emotional switch. It was incredibly emotional for myriad reasons, not the least of which I knew that Karen and her family were going to have an enormous hill to climb to sort of get past all this. And this was the first step of that climb. The acquittal was not the end of her journey. That's where a new journey begins, trying to put all this stuff behind her. You can't do it. You can't just close that door and stick this in a box and say, oh, well, that was that thing that happened once. No, this defines Karen. This defines the Read family. And to be part of that, and to be part of that, what I pray is some level of healing for her, for Bill, for Janet, for Bud, for the whole family. That's an honor. It was humbling. And to look over at David, who got big tears in his eyes, he's an emotional man. I'm an emotional man. To be able to hug him, to hug Bob, and say thank you to them, and for them to say thank you to us, and for all of us to sort of come together. That was just very, very special moment.
A lot of people are wondering why, Karen hasn't spoken much, and you explained it to me when I was just sitting with you privately, but easy to share. Now, you just look, when you've been in that kind of fight or flight for 3.5 years, people are coming after your life and send you to jail for the rest of time.
Right.
You need a minute to decompress. If you start running to press interviews right away, it's like,
no, you're right.
I mean,
that's you said it best. You need a minute. That's what I said to you when we were having a drink and talking about it. I said she just needs a minute, and she deserves the grace of the public and all her supporters and people that watch this trial with interest from an intellectual and an emotional standpoint, to give her that grace to take that minute. Someone did lose their life, right? At the end of the day, this is still a very, very sad circumstance. Someone lost their life. The person or people responsible for that have yet to be brought to justice. It would be inopportune, that's not even the right word, it would be classless just to start taking a victory lap. That's not what this is about. Her ordeal is something I don't know that any of us can really understand. We can try. I know her very well. I've gotten to know her as a family member myself, but I don't know that even I know, or I could put a finger on everything that she and Bill and Janet, her parents, are going through and will continue to go through. Are they happy? They're incredibly happy. Are they vibrant and living their life? Yes, they're living their best lives, and they will continue to do so. But I don't think any of them saw this moment as an opportunity to, raise their hands and run a victory lap. It was a hard-fought battle that affected them, affected Karen more than any of us can quite understand.
I think people are pretty good judges of character. Just like, I read that book, Blink by Malcolm Gladwell.
That's one of my favorites. I love it.
I like it too. In the blink of an eye, you really get a sense of someone, right? Of what they're about, what they are. I mean, like when you talk to Bill Read, of which I have several times, the father of Karen, all you can see is true blue, man of faith, just this guy is there every day supporting his daughter. I mean, there's just no way. And you see Karen Read, who's, she's not afraid to share a little extra information in an interview because she's got nothing to hide. Does she speak a little much
Right.
when, in some of these interviews she did before the second trial? Well, when you're, if you're innocent, you're not overly thinking about what you say.
Correct.
You could feel the authenticity.
Yeah, people ask me many, many times, legal practitioners ask me many times, like, what were you thinking? How could you possibly let your client speak in public that often about so many subjects? The gloves were off, and there was no strings attached.
Because she has nothing to hide.
Because she has nothing to hide. She didn't do it.
Yeah.
She's innocent, and she's articulate. She can articulate for herself her own innocence. She didn't need me to do it. I need to throw in her assist in a courtroom for sure. But she could articulate her innocence as well as anybody, or better than anybody. So what the hell did I have to hide? I didn't care.
Karen said she took a little vacation there, just with her parents. They got away a little bit, and you told me you did get to decompress a little
A
yourself,
little bit.
right?
I went to Europe.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had a birthday, so I was able to steal away to Europe for a little bit. And
I'm seeing you on
enjoy
a
some
yacht
downtime.
somewhere in the Mediterranean. Was there a little?
That may have happened. There may have been a boat somewhere.
Yeah.
Maybe it was a rowboat, not a yacht, but there was
Do
a
you
boat
know how to
involved.
unwind? I mean, you're very busy.
No,
and
I don't.
hardworking.
That's
No.
why I'm hanging out with you. I got to learn from you. I know you know how to unwind.
I'm learning. Yeah.
Yeah, it is a skill. I got to tell you, it is not that easy to put the phone on mute and just say, I'm not going to do it. To shut the computer, shut the laptop and say, I'm not answering those emails. That is a skill set. It is one that I have not yet developed, but I'm working on it.
So, in your mind, or have a pretty good picture of what actually did happen, since Karen Read did not back up and kill John O'Keefe.
She certainly didn't.
So you in your mind, you have a pretty good picture of what did
Yes.
happen?
Yes. But next you're going to ask me what it is, and I'm going to deflect.
Will we have an opportunity at some point to know what that is? Because at some point, maybe you stop going on defense, right? And will you choose to go on offense or just walk away and live life?
There's several different forums that we have available to us to discuss this on the private side of things, as well as the formal side of things in courtrooms. Our courtroom sojourn, our odyssey is not quite done yet. As a matter of fact, I'm going to be out in Boston on Monday for a court appearance.
We give the first hearing in the civil
First
trial,
hearing.
right?
Right.
So what happened? Okay, so that's Monday, September 22nd.
That's the 22nd.
It's the first hearing on the civil trial. Folks, Karen Read was acquitted on all charges against her in the retrial in the criminal case. But now we've got the civil case brought by the O'Keefe family against Karen in 2 bars in town. Wrongful death, emotional distress, all these things. It looks a little different. What happens
Generally.
in this hearing that comes up on Monday? It's the first big event.
Yeah, it's a status hearing. It's when the court basically says, what are we doing? What are we expecting? What are both sides expecting in terms of moving forward? What's this litigation going to look like? It's basically a look-see where everybody kicks the tires to figure out kind of what's next. How big or little is the litigation going to be? How much time needs to be allotted to the discovery process, the pre-litigation motion process, law and motion work, things of that nature. So it'll be relatively formulaic, but we, you might want to tune in.
Really?
Sure.
Are you going to be forceful? Take some shots?
Anything we do on behalf of Karen is forceful. We're not going to sit back and just have the case come to us. We go out and we tend, as a team, to go out and be affirmative, be assertive with our movements. So that's our intention. We'll do that throughout the entirety of the litigation.
Wow. How long do you think this thing takes?
I'm not a civil litigator by trade. These things they count them in years, not months. So it could take a minute.
Okay. She's serving 1 year of probation for operating under the influence and a suspension of her driver's license for a year. Is her car any closer to being returned?
It's been returned.
Okay.
Yeah, the
So
car
she
is no
can't drive
longer
it
in the
for now.
Massachusetts State Police possession. It's in our possession, or tangential to our possession.
Mandatory treatment program, that was part of it, right?
Yes, she's following all the protocols of a standard DUI in Massachusetts. Nothing special, nothing more, nothing less.
Other latest news, Kelly Dever. You said Deaver, and you were right. Because It would be two
Did I have-
V's if it was Dever.
Right? It's the difference between Eddie and Edie, right?
You were right
come
calling
on.
her.
Yeah.
You should have said, you know what, ma'am? Actually, no, that is not your last name. Your last name is Dever. But anyway, Kelly Dever, who originally stated she saw Brian Higgins and Canton Police Chief Kenneth Berkowitz suspiciously surrounding Karen's Lexus SUV in the Canton Police garage called Sallyport, then later called it a false memory under your cross. She resigned from the Boston Police Department on September 1st. She was on medical leave or family leave or whatever all summer long. What are your feelings about her today? Do you have any, like, sort of, I don't know, sympathy for kind of a sad character?
Sympathy.
Her whole life, she's so young and she's just got any? Or is she
Zero.
No.
No sympathy whatsoever. She's also a grown woman. Young, I don't care. She's grown.
Certainly rude.
She was old enough to carry a gun. She was old enough to carry a badge. She was old enough to take an oath, right?
Yeah.
Those things come with consequences, right? You've got responsibilities. Look, I take no pleasure in, I'm not going to dance on her demise, but do I have sympathy for her? No. She made her bed, as the old saying goes, and she's got to lie in it. So I think it's exactly what should have happened, did happen. She should not ever carry a gun, carry a badge, be in a position of authority, running herd over the community. It comes with consequences.
Alan, we're going to go to the chat section here for a second. We're live, so people are fired up to get something in here. Marley says, are there cameras allowed in the civil trial?
It's up to the judge. Normally, cameras do not go in civil cases, but look, think of Johnny Depp. Cameras were allowed in that case. So we'll see. I don't know. It's up to the judge.
Lizard says, what's up with the Jen McCabe texts that Turtle Boy got, but Karen Reed's defense did not get?
Well, that's a whole other can of worms to have to unravel. We're not done fighting on that battleground. That's a very good question, salient question. It turns out that there were Michael Morrissey texts that we didn't get. There were Jen McCabe texts that we didn't get. There's a lot of discovery that we didn't get. Turns out, thank God, we didn't need it to win the trial twice, but it is questionable why we didn't get that stuff. It's pretty outrageous.
Wow. Do you miss the trial atmosphere and supporters, or are you glad it's over? And do you imagine that all those people will return and come back out?
You know, it's funny you mentioned that. Do I miss the trial and the supporters? I speak with Karen pretty regularly. I don't talk to the rest of the team as regularly because they've all got businesses and clients and court appearances and things going on in their lives. But the reality is I never thought that I would feel this way, but I absolutely desperately miss that adrenaline rush. I do. I didn't think, I was like, when I was in it, I was thinking, when is this thing going to be done? When is this going to be over? The stress was unbelievable, as you
That
can imagine.
support from the crowd must have just
But
been
the
like, you're
support
going into
kept
like
us-
arena every day.
It
You're
kept
like
us buoyed. We were like gladiators.
You're like LeBron, the lawyer. I mean, just going into the game. And Jackson checks back into the courthouse. Here he comes.
No, it was that's what kept us going every day. The adrenaline punch that we got from the supporters yelling catcalls of support for me, for Karen, for David, for Bob, for Liza, for all of us on the team and around the team, for Evan, for the other interns that were working for us. By the way, Evan, I should tell you that I poached from Karen one of the interns that we hired that worked with us daily during the entire trial. Hired him and he came out to California. He's now a member of Worksman Jackson.
No
and Quinn.
way.
No, I'm super proud.
A Karen Reed intern is
Yeah.
now an apprentice. He's underneath.
Correct.
Is he?
Correct.
He starts with coffee and then he moves to laundry and
Nope.
then he gets. He's
That
already a
young man-
paralegal.
that young man is going to court. He is sharp as a tack.
God,
yeah.
wow.
No, it's amazing. This whole thing. So to bring it home, yeah, I miss it every day. I miss the trial atmosphere. I miss the fight. I miss the adrenaline rush. This is why I do this job. Every lawyer that wants to be a trial lawyer, I mean, this was the case to want to try. So yeah, I miss it all the time. And I miss Karen. I miss her family. I miss the rest of the team. It's funny. I never thought I would, but I do.
Amazing. Civil case is coming. I mean, you've done all of this before. It's kind of odd. Like, okay, here we go again. I mean, you don't have to do that much work this time, I wouldn't think.
You know,
right?
it's funny you say that. I wondered when the first trial ended in a hung jury, and I immediately knew, okay, we're going to do this again. Here we go, right? To your point. We're about to have to take the laboring oar on the exact same river that we just navigated. It should be a layup. I've never worked harder in my life than I did in the second trial. It was double the amount of work. triple the amount of work. We had all the same information that we had previously, the discovery, thousands and tens of thousands of pages of discovery. Now add to that all of the new information that came out during the trial, all the new transcripts, all the new cross-examinations, the direct examinations. We're dealing with a new lawyer. They brought in new experts. God knows what the civil trial is going to present in terms of new experts and things of that nature.
Wasn't there evidence that they didn't let you present in the second trial, that maybe this time around you can? Isn't there stuff that you were prevented from sharing, like major stuff?
Yeah, and an enormous, well, how about the fact that the federal government was involved in the investigation of the investigators? How about that?
Right.
Yeah, that's the whopper, right? That's the big one. But there were myriad examples of things that we were not allowed to present. Judge Cannone was extremely, extremely restrictive of our defense in terms of what we were allowed to present, even through the experts that we did call.
Is she corrupt?
I'll leave it to others to judge and use words like that. I think I've done what I needed to do. I'll tell you this.
Compromised?
I feel very good about what I presented, what the arguments that I've made, the information that I presented into the public forum about Judge Cannone and the Massachusetts justice system in general. I'll let others decide, is she corrupt, is she compromised? I don't need to use words like that.
Are we going to see a lot of the same people on the stand? In the second trial, we didn't see some of them. We didn't see, like Brian Higgins. We didn't see. Are we going to see Brian Higgins?
I think the entire
Jen McCabe,
cabal of bad people will be.
Oh my God! The band is getting back together. I mean, this is going to be a whole nother round.
I said this before. Nothing's off the table. No one's off the table. Look, they wanted to bring a lawsuit. They brought the lawsuit. We didn't bring a lawsuit. We're defending a lawsuit.
Who are you most looking forward to questioning out of all the bad apples?
Yes.
All of them. Jen McCabe?
Oh, I would relish the idea of having another conversation with Miss McCabe. Yeah.
And Brian Higgins, who escaped the last
Mr.
one.
Higgins, yes, absolutely.
Will Mr. Michael Proctor, the leader,
I would imagine that
he'll be back?
I imagine he will not be able to duck this one.
You see, this is the shithole that they've got themselves in, because Mrs. O'Keefe is very upset. The O'Keefe family, they think that they're going to get their answers here, and they want justice, and they want to get paid for this, and they're going hard. And these people are telling them, you're right, you're right, you're right. And now they have to go through it all again. And they know inside, oh God, if our lives weren't over before.
The problem with that, Billy, is I do have, you talked about whether or not I have sympathy or empathy for Kelly Dever. Or is it Dever?
It's
what
Dever, but it's Dever.
I don't have any sympathy for Miss Dever because she made her bed. She's got to lie in it. Like I said, she brought this on herself. But I do empathize with the O'Keefe family, writ large, all of them. I think that they have been sold a bill of goods. I think they were sold that bill of goods when they were the most vulnerable. They had just lost a surrogate father, a son, a brother. That's devastating. And I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. But in that moment of vulnerability, in those times of vulnerability, they were sold a bill of goods for a reason, for a specific reason, to turn them against Karen and to turn their eyes away from the actual truth of what happened. They have sort of absorbed that since then, and they've never wavered. And that's a shame. That's a shame. It's not shame on them, but it's a shame that they feel that way because they can't and won't quite see the truth. I feel empathy for them. But what I'm not going to do is sit back and watch them or anybody else take shots at Karen and try to take advantage of a civil courtroom and try to establish some sort of liability of her that doesn't exist. That's never going to happen on my watch, not as long as I'm alive and breathing.
And the civil trial will get going with its first hearing on Monday. So Alan will be flying over the weekend back to Boston. Questions are rolling in, and yes, we are live. Miss Jessica says in our chat, you're not live.
Why not?
Hi, Jessica.
Hi, Jessica.
How are you?
We're live.
Now what, Jessica? As live can be. Will things that were impounded be allowed in the civil trial? Will you be able to call Colin Albert? That's a really good question.
It's an outstanding
Joy.
question. Yeah.
Colin Albert is a very interesting character here who was kept away from the spotlight in the second trial entirely.
Right. That's a very salient question. Think about it this way. All of the evidentiary rulings that Judge Cannone made, they're all out the window. We start with a clean slate. So yes, the answer is, do I believe we'd be able to, if we could establish the relevance and materiality of Colin Albert, which we clearly can, would he be on the docket, on the witness list to be called by either side? Yeah, we sure could. And so could Brian Albert and Nicole Albert and Julie Albert and Chris and Matt McCabe and Jen McCabe. Yeah, the whole bevy of folks. There's nobody that's off limits.
I'm going to ask Alan a question, but I don't want the camera on me while I'm asking. I'm a body language expert, also freelance body language expert. I want it on Alan, just Alan.
You do know I have a poker face, right?
While I ask the question. And this is, seriously, like, when I think about what could have happened that night, I think about this kid, Colin Albert, because he's troubled. And I think coming home, drunk, mom, dad, get their people over, whatever. Higgins is there. I think that the Higgins-Colin Albert combination is really something to look at when I think what could have happened. And that Colin Albert kid got loud. And I think Higgins, who of course had designs on Karen Reed and was texting with her a little bit, he got involved. And I think that's where the violence occurred. I do think the two characters are Higgins and Colin Albert. And mostly I would look at Colin Albert. Am I
think that's
totally wrong?
No, I can't say that you're totally wrong. I can't say that you're totally right either. I have my own ideas about what happened, but certainly anybody who watched the trials, anybody who watched or read the motion work that we presented, anybody would reasonably come to a conclusion damn close to what you just suggested. That is not far afield. I don't think you're unreasonable in thinking that. Will we ever know who landed the fatal blow? I have my thoughts about who that was. There was a blow that was struck on John.
A brutal blow.
A brutal blow. And he went back and he hit his head on a ledged surface. And ultimately
Probably something in the garage, probably something he fell back on. Huge gash.
You saw what we tried to do in the trial in terms of the garage. And we were thwarted in large part by Judge Cannoni in terms of trying to present that evidence. But there's a reason that we wanted the jurors to see inside that garage. There's a good reason for it. That wasn't just by, we weren't just doing it for shits and giggles. There was a reason.
What did you see in there?
There was clearly evidence of a structure that was absolutely 100% consistent, is 100% consistent.
With the gash on the back of the head.
With the gash on the back of his head.
And the structure was?
A ledge, a concrete ledge that you step down on, about a 4-inch ledge, made out of concrete with rough edges. It's funny because the coroner, the medical examiner said, it was a ridged surface with uneven edges, not a smooth edge, uneven edges, as reflected in the autopsy photos.
Looking back across the testimony and exhibits from both trials, which one piece of evidence do you consider the single most decisive in demonstrating that Karen Reed did not strike John O'Keefe with her vehicle, and why?
Probably Michael Proctor's lying in his affidavit after affidavit after affidavit, when he said he got the car. He was absolutely focused on making sure that he lied and deceived about when that car was taken. Why? Because he damn well knew that he had that car before that light was cracked. He needed time. He needed to have those moments. He needed that 90 minutes or so to have access to that taillight before the...
So the missing 40 minutes of tape from the Sallyport garage where it's like the Epstein trial. It's like we're missing a minute of footage there, but you're missing 42 minutes of him back by the amazing thing in the first trial when you were like, excuse me, this video has been reversed. Right. They literally tampered with evidence in the worst way.
Right. So they all sort of fit together. These all dovetail these pieces of evidence that you're talking about, the inverted video, the Sallyport video that's missing 42 minutes, the exact time when the SUV was pulled into the Sallyport, which would have shown exactly the condition of that taillight, all missing, all inverted, all reversed, lied about in affidavit after affidavit after affidavit. Why all of that worked together to establish that the taillight material was not at 34 Fairview until after Michael Proctor and his folks had the car and its taillight in their possession. So when someone asks, what's the one piece of evidence that establishes she didn't hit him? Well, I could point to Dr. Wolf, because the car never hit John. I could point to Dr. Rentschler. John was never struck by a vehicle. That's not where his injuries came from. I could point to Proctor and the lies. The car was in the Commonwealth's possession before a single piece of taillight was found. I could point to Canton PD. Canton PD did not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, 5 searches, 5 individuals looking for taillight material when they found John at 6 a.m., 6:30 a.m. Not one single piece of taillight material found until 12 hours later. So all of these things dovetail together. It's a tapestry of evidence. It's not just one piece of evidence. But once you start looking at it, it's so obvious. Then you think to yourself, okay, well, why? Why would these folks, how could you say these folks are lying or just working together in this conspiracy? These people went to high school together.
Yeah.
Every one of these people lived it. They found an investigator, Billy. Think about this. They found an investigator that's independent. After, I hate air quotes, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to channel the president a little bit. Independent. They found an independent investigator after Canton PD was conflicted off of the case because the bad guy's brother works at Canton PD. So they go find an independent investigator who lives a mile from where this happened.
Not that independent.
In Canton. And went to high school with some of the folks that populate Canton PD. And his wife knows people that his wife was supposed to have one of the Alberts babysit for his kid. I mean, this is all within hours and days of this event. It is not a stretch to realize that this entire tapestry of evidence was just completely fabricated.
And why?
To point at Karen.
You look at the prosecutor in the first trial, Adam Lally, and then the second one, Hank Brennan. I mean, you have to think these are reasonably intelligent people. So what are they? They know what they're up against. They know the cards they're holding.
They're there to
Why?
win.
They're there just to get a win for the state
That's
and for
it.
law. That's
it.
Doesn't matter if that girl
they
spends
had-
20 years in jail.
If they
50.
had any other view of this, they could not morally have prosecuted this case. If they had any other view other than, I just want a scalp.
What
I
would you
just
have done
want
if
to
you
win.
were the prosecutor and they said, hey, Jackson, we need you to prosecute this case? Would you have looked at it and said, yeah, not doing it?
Absolutely.
Really? They
Dismi-
can do
I wouldn't
that.
have
They
just
can
said,
say no.
I wouldn't have just said, yeah, I'm not doing it. I would have said, this needs to be dismissed. And if you don't dismiss it, I'm going to dismiss it and I'll quit before I stay in an office that will prosecute this case. It was bullshit and they knew it from the beginning. Both Adam Lally, I don't give him a single pass. Do I think he woke up in the morning deciding he was going to frame Karen? No, I don't think Adam Lally is of that ilk. But he absolutely knew well enough to know that this was not provable beyond a reasonable doubt, beyond any and all reasonable doubt. Walk away. That is your job as a prosecutor. You are not supposed to prosecute a case that you don't, in your heart of hearts, believe that you can prove to an independent jury of 12 folks beyond a reasonable doubt. There's no way he woke up in the morning or went to bed at night thinking that he could prove this case, nor could Brennan.
These are morally compromised people.
100%. 100%.
And you have a guy named Mark Diller, who is the lawyer that's in front of you. I wondered, what's his deal? He's a personal injury guy. I went to his website. I found his video. Let's take a look at opposing counsel and see what we think.
My name is Mark Diller. I'm a plaintiff's personal injury trial lawyer. I'm exposed to hardships of my clients, and I understand their struggles, and it gives me a level of appreciation for how valuable life is.
Beautiful vanity shot
My
there.
father is a first-generation American. His parents survived the Holocaust and came here at the end of the Second World War.
Okay, that's
When
enough
they
of him.
came here.
That's your guy, Mark Diller, right there. Do you know anything about him? Have you
Nothing.
Nothing.
I mean, I know that he's a PI lawyer, which means he's after money. That's it. He doesn't care about justice. He doesn't care about who's
And he's
right
going to
or
get
wrong.
paid. I mean, it's something.
Yeah, I'm guessing going to get paid something, or that's what his hope is. But he's not going to get paid by Karen.
No, he's not. What is happening with the next steps beyond the legal? You have a state or federal case that you might bring on offense this time. Go after the people who actually did this.
What we're focused on, what I think Karen is focused on, is shedding light, shining a bright light in as big a forum as we possibly can on the corruption that led us here. And not just corruption on January 29th, 2022. Corruption that is generational in scope. Corruption that is centuries old. Corruption that dates back to post-colonial Massachusetts, a one-party state where there's no checks and balances whatsoever. People get voted into office over and over and over out of something that is just beyond me. It's habit. It's just how does a Michael Morrissey get voted into office over and over. And he's completely 100% incompetent and compromised. He is compromised.
The DA from Norfolk County.
Correct.
He won't be running again. His popularity is
Well,
so low.
who knows? We say that, but he's got a war chest. He's been making money and saving money for decades.
Can you call Morrissey?
Sure,
You can call him in the civil trial?
absolutely.
Are you going to?
Who knows? We'll see.
Oh my God!
I've already said, Billy. I'm going to say it again. Nobody.
The crowds
is
will be
off the
wild
table.
for that. They want. People are not happy with that guy.
Yeah. No, they're not, and they shouldn't be. They should be disgusted with that guy. That guy is he has one job to do: protect their interests, and all he does is feather his own nest. And that kind of crap happens over and over and over because there are no checks and balances in Massachusetts, and that's why a book needs to be written. That's why a film needs to be done or a scripted series needs to be done to get as many eyeballs to understand what really has to happen for a community and a system at large to do what the Massachusetts justice system did to Karen Read. It doesn't happen overnight, and it doesn't happen by happenstance.
Wow. Casey Affleck or Jason Sudeikis. I'm really into this Sudeikis thing. I think he would be great. It's coming off of Ted Lasso. It's a little meatier, but you guys have the same, there's some vibe there.
I have no idea. I've never met Jason. I've spoken to him on the phone once. Never met Casey. I'd be honored by anybody who wants to play the role of the person that walks in and gives an assist to Karen.
We want to give a shout out to Bill Reed and Janet. They are watching. And hi, Bill. How are you? Karen's
Bless
father.
their hearts.
Karen could be right there, too. We don't know. She tends to pop in sometimes. Last time we were talking to Bill, whoop!
There you go.
She was. But if you're there, hey, guys.
Nice to see you, Bill. Nice to see you, Janet.
Alan Jackson. Boy, I hope you're never in the need of having to call him, mostly because he's very busy and he might not be able to, but it's been a real pleasure, man. Thank you
pal.
so much.
Appreciate you.
I appreciate you coming in here a lot. And he is back at it on Monday, the first hearing for the civil trial, the O'Keefes and Karen Read. So back to Boston you go.
There I go.
That's it for us.